All right, welcome to Real Tech Talk across the auto marine industry, where we talk with leaders who disrupted the industry with bold moves, scalable systems, and real-world experience. Today's guest embodies all of that and then some. I'm joined with Dustin Jackson.
Mhm.
Apologize there, the founder of EZN Storage and Detail, a company that started as a humble storage lot and evolved into a full-blown automotive marine service operation with detailing, storage, retail, coding, software, and 50 plus person team behind it. Dustin, welcome to the show.
Wow, yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you for the cool introduction. It is a lot when you say it like that, isn't it?
Yeah. I'm like, it
We
just keeps
just
going.
yeah, we try not to list it out like that. No, it's all great. We definitely humble beginnings. I started just like most other detailers, owner operator style, under a carport and a little half acre lot, and just had a passion for detailing. Kept my stuff, kept all my stuff detailed, and then just grew into all of this, I guess.
Well, your journey is wild. I think you've done there. I saw like you ran a paintball field as a teenager and then like civil engineering, and you've done a lot of stuff. So I definitely want to hear like your origin story and how this all came about.
Yeah. So you're kind of cutting out a little bit, but I got the gist of it.
Okay.
So yeah, have a yeah, pretty deep background. So just for transparency, been an entrepreneur my entire life. I did go to school for civil engineering because I was drawing house plans and building houses for myself, and I didn't want to pay somebody to stamp my plans. So I went to school at nights, and yeah, so that's where like I had to do an internship. I was supposed to do an internship for the engineer, and I said I'm not going to do an internship. I have no intentions of doing this for anyone else. I want to do it for myself. And anyway, so yeah, entrepreneur my whole life. When I was 14, I started a paintball business. It was never really been a decision for me to run business. It's like just what I wake up to do. It's what it's what I'm made up of. And so, like, I think without that, I wouldn't be me. And so,
Yeah.
I always tell the story. I've never received a paycheck from anybody else. I'm 41 years old, so I've been responsible for my own way the whole way.
Let's hear.
I went into construction, and from '98 to 2008, I was building houses as a general contractor,
Okay.
and went through the housing market crash, and so then kind of had to drop back and punt, and ended up oddly enough in some other software. And we built some software. I had kind of fell into that thing and built some software and sold it off a few years
Okay.
later. And then next thing I know, I started with a storage lot. And I was really, when I started storage and detailing, it was a half acre lot right here in our little hometown. The biggest thing was the lack of marine detailing. I was keeping my boat clean. I was keeping my truck and camper clean, the stuff I had accumulated. And, I didn't have time when I was out on the road. I never could find somebody to help me like do it like it should be done. And
Yeah.
so when I sold that other software company off, I had that little half acre lot, and I said, well, I'm going to start storage because I had my camper and my boat down there, and I had enough room for about 25 more things. Right. And so
Yeah.
I said, well, I'll put a fence around it and call it storage. Now, this is prior to the storage boom. I would love to sit here and say, like, I predicted this huge storage boom. Dude, I didn't know. I had no clue. I was
Yeah.
just like, put a fence around there. If somebody wants to pay me for storage, great. My stuff's
Yeah.
here and
Let
I
it
need
pay
it
for
secured.
itself.
That was the concept. And then so I had built me a little office, and I thought, well, I'm not going to sit here all day and wait for somebody to just come in and need storage. I said, I'll just do some detailing. And my thought was that I would detail the customers that store with me. So, like a VIP
Okay.
type storage. Like, you need
Yeah.
your stuff, you come out, I'll clean it up, and you can take it with you. And when you get back, you drop it off, I'll clean it back up, put it up. That was what I thought would happen. And it didn't, because come to find out, and now I've been in the storage business long enough to know people don't want you to mess with their stuff when it's stored, and they just want it to sit there, and they barely use it. But I did have customers start coming in and pulling. I put a sign at the road that said detail. That's how simple
Okay.
it was. And then cars just started showing up and boats just started showing up. I started really advertising to the boating community, and this was back when Facebook didn't have business profiles. We just had a personal profile, and so I just started posting pictures of the detailing work I was doing on boats. It really just kind of took off.
Yeah.
And that was in like 2014 ish, 2013, 14. And, so I filled that lot up. I got bigger than I could handle. I had more boats and campers and cars coming in for detail that I could put on that little lot. And so I ended up buying some property right up the road, which is one of the properties we still have now.
Okay.
And that's where it really grew. That's where things like I was then able to, so I always tell I should back up and I'll tell you. I never started detailing to be the best detailer. I started the business because I saw that there was a need, and I knew
Yeah.
that I would be training other detailers to work with me. I
Okay.
didn't want to be detailing the rest of my life. Like I wanted to build a business, a detailing business. And so when I moved up to the larger lot, that allowed me to hire in and start to grow the business.
And this is all make ready details, like just for maintenance and keeping it up, or is this also like selling the additional services of the like aftermarket protection?
Okay, yeah, great question. So ceramic coatings weren't really a thing back then. I mean, they were just kind of coming out, but we were doing like so in the marine world you get oxidized boats. So we were
Yes.
sanding and polishing boats and stuff like that, but we were still waxing boats. Wax is what we used for the first 3 or 4 years while I was detailing. I always waxed my boats. Then you had polymer sealants, like the introduction of polymer sealants, which was really nice because it would hold up longer. And then of course a few years later coatings came in and we started doing ceramic coating on boats, and that really changed the game.
Yes, absolutely. So with the automotive marine world, and you just mentioned how it's changed in the past decade. So what about for customer like expectations now? So when you shift that from make ready detail to now offering those additional services, did you see a demand of that like in your clients? Is that what kind of inspired you to do that growth?
I don't know if we saw it or we created it. So we were
I like both answers.
Yeah, I mean, I think we brought it to our market here. We're in Mobile, Alabama, and and we're actually in Saraland, which is even smaller, so outskirts. And so when we started doing ceramic coatings, like nobody knew what that was, like nobody around here. And so we start offering this other type protection. We had to teach our customers and educate them, and we had to educate ourselves. When ceramic coatings first hit the market, they set us all up for failure.
Oh yeah, they did.
And I lived through the redo era, where everything like we promised the world, to get a. So you understand when I was first started detailing, we were doing details for $75, and so then we thought, oh man, I can charge $800 to do a coating. I must promise them the lifetime to, like I must promise them the world to get this, and so we
Yeah.
did, and we have these coating suppliers say, oh, you can burn it, you can't scratch it, you can run a shopping cart into it, and so we're just telling our customers that, and here we go. And then of
Like the
course the
Kool-Aid.
the redo, the redo era happened, and like we had to drop back and go, okay, what does this stuff really do? And so yeah, to answer your question, I think we brought it. I mean, and I don't mean that in a like egotistical kind of way, but I just think that like in this area, ceramic coatings, nobody was doing them. So like we had to
Yeah.
teach our customers. And so we brought it in and then showed them the value. And then, of course, ended up having to establish the expectations of here's what it will do, but here's what it won't do.
Okay. No, I like that. So, how do you feel like these industry shifts impacted the way you lead and operate EZN today?
It is nowhere, no comparison. I mean, it impacted it, in every way. And we always wanted to be a first class business, and then detail. Like so, like we wanted to run like a sewing machine. My thing is, I wanted the customers. I wanted you to have the same experience if you go to the hospital, if you go to the steakhouse, then you go to the detail shop. Like that customer experience where you get notifications, where you get high quality service, where you get what we say we're going to do when we say we're going to do it for what we said we were going to do it for, kind of thing.
I
And
like
yeah, and so that's then we had to introduce software because when I bought the bigger property and we came up here and we started to grow, we grew faster than our pen and paper could keep up with.
that.
And so I built software. I had software built for my business that would manage the invoicing and the pricing and the online booking and the customer communication and all the payments and all that stuff. It would manage that. And so I didn't build the software to sell it to other detailers. I built it to manage this business and create that customer experience. So, that was a key component of it. But yeah, the way that the industry has gone has caused us all detailers to level up because customers know
Yes.
more now. They're expecting more out of us. We're no longer just a brush and a bucket. You know what I mean? Like we're
Yeah.
a different ball game than that.
It's evolved a lot.
It has.
And then even you're touching like on the ceramics. I mean, when the ceramic boom happened, everyone was saying you have to have it, but like you said, no one even knew what they were doing or what it was or how long it was even going to last because we didn't even have the tests to validate it. And now there's DIY kits on Amazon, which is crazy. And most people end up buying it without any education.
Oh, you're 100% right. Yeah. And so, we had a large hurdle to jump once these over promises were stated to this massive customer base across the United States, across the world.
Yeah.
Because ceramic coating companies were wanting to charge so much money for these little bottles, but they were saying, okay, it was almost a marketing ploy, right? They sell you this bottle, it's tiny, they want to charge 2, 3, $400, whatever it was. But you can put ceramic, I don't want to name names. You can put you
I
can
always
attach
like
our
to know
name
where
to
you're
it.
going.
Yeah, and now it's worth more, right? So it's just a marketing scheme to build that brand up, and
Yeah,
but the detailer was left holding the bag
absolutely.
because the detailer's whole reputation was upon, like, is built on what you promise to your customers. And so, like, we all promised all this stuff because we thought that we were being told the right things. And I do blame coating companies. I own one now. I own a very large coating company, one of the biggest in the world. And but I'm the first to point fingers back at the coating companies, because that's who set us up for failure. And I think it took a while for us to get past that. And ceramic coatings, I heard a thing the other day from a good friend of mine, Christy Giovanni, and he said the search term ceramic coatings is down, like ceramic coating near me, or what is ceramic coatings?
Yes.
That search term is down. And he said, so inherently we know that the ceramic industry is declining. And I said, that's not the case at all. That's not the case at all. That means customers are more educated and they know what it
Yeah.
is. They don't have to search what is ceramic coating, or they don't have to search what is ceramic coating near me. Like, they probably have had it at some level, whether it was at the dealership, whether it's at the car wash that's doing a spray ceramic. This term is now more common knowledge than it was 5 years ago or 10 years ago. So you can't use that search term as a, no, I'm sorry to get on the rampant, but you can't use that search term to define an industry.
Industry. I mean, your everything you're saying
Yeah.
is valid because I mean, we ceramic
Yeah.
goes from as far as a spray on coating, that is a snake
Hmm.
oil, all the way up to something
Sure.
that's a validated product that really does protect your vehicle. So there's
That's right.
such a vast extreme now from where it started.
Yeah, there really is. And then the ease of usability. I mean, we don't have to, like, when I came into the industry, like, we were using heavy solvent based ceramics, and you could do about a foot at a time without, and to level it, or, and so the usability is so much different now. I tell the guys
Yeah.
in our shop, like, you have no idea how nice this is.
Excited to learn more about your line, especially. But before we get there, I do want to deep dive in a little bit about you and your leadership. So, I mean, you run
Yeah.
multiple verticals, and we don't have to keep listing them off because that's just going to give you a headache. But what leadership practices have been most important for managing that level of complexity that you deal with each day?
Mhm. Yeah. So leadership, it's just hiring good people, and then setting clear expectations. So we're a big KPI tracking company. All of our companies. So I own 10 companies. All of the companies, the first thing we introduce is KPIs. And the
Okay.
reason for that is I don't like subjective management where it's like, hey, you're not doing a good job. I like to say, here's where we're at, here's where we should be, and here's areas that you can improve on, because it's backed by data. It's backed by numbers that says, this is, if you do your job, if you do these things, here's what you can do. If you're not doing this, then we have to look at what's going wrong. And so my leadership comes from data first instead of, like, feeling. Now, hiring, I like to hire people based on energy and passion and who they are, not what they know.
Okay.
And maybe that's a double-edged sword. There's been times where I probably should have hired somebody that knew more about the job that they were going to do.
Yeah.
But I've always felt like, if I hire somebody that's just beating down the door to show up every day, I can, and I can teach them the rest.
They're compassionate. It's just unfortunately not everyone can be taught. It is also their choice to obtain that knowledge.
No, you're exactly right. And the bigger we've gotten, like, that will get you so far. But then once the jobs get a little bit bigger, especially like your accounting side and your or purchasing and inventory management, that kind of stuff, somebody that has experience is really nice. If not, they're learning on your dime. But
Yeah.
when I was starting, I was always recruiting. I always tell everybody I was always recruiting. Like, I'm looking for anybody with work ethic. I'm looking for anybody with drive, with passion, with energy. I can teach you how to run a polisher. I can't teach you how to get up out of bed every morning. Like,
Exactly. Love that.
and so if we don't have to fight that hurdle, like, if I don't have to wonder if you're going to show up or not, we can figure everything else out.
Agree. There's always ones that are going to let us down, and there's others that like totally surprise us. And that's the gift, is find the ones that surprise us.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, but so that's my leadership style, I guess, in a sense. I'm very hands-on. I like to work side by side. I like to solve problems. Again, probably to my own demise. I like to stay in the weeds a little too much sometimes. So they know when I'm coming, like, I I'll pick a department or I'll pick a company or whatever, and then I'll really take a deep dive over a few weeks and just kind of get in the trenches with them and help solve problems, think about inefficiencies that we're doing. So, but I like to work. I'm a work.
I love that. Well, you're a one percenter. You know, you're self-motivated, you're driven. You obviously need to have more than 3 or 4 or 5 things going at once just to keep you going.
Yeah.
And I can have full respect for that for sure.
Thank you.
So how has technology played into that for you? So you mentioned a little bit, you know, you're all about data, and I love key performance indicators are everything for me. But you'd be surprised how many shops, I would say at least a lofty 60, 70% don't even know what's going on with their data or what's actually going on in their business. So from scheduling to client communications, how has technology played into your business today?
We couldn't run it without it. So, that's my forte. But listen, it doesn't matter whether it is or isn't. So I'll give you a story. I hired a sales manager, Rob. He ran his own shop locally here for 7 or 8 years. He had some health issues where he had to shut his shop down, and I hired him as my sales manager. And he had never done KPIs. He had never done spreadsheets. And so when he first comes in, and he's got the, his daily KPIs he's got to enter, and then he's got to understand where to put them in the spreadsheet and stuff. And there's a learning curve, right? And he didn't get it. And I experienced this a lot with detailers. Like I talk to a lot of detailers and I share my KPI sheets with them, but they don't want to do it. And until you like make that consistent and you start using that on a daily basis, and then you see it work for you, when you can see your results, when you can see the hard work and the consistency you're putting in, now it's on paper, like it never really clicks. And so, he came in, and I would say probably the first few months, he did not like doing the KPIs. And he's like, man, I can just do this and I can do that. And, and I'm like, yeah, but we got to put it right here, make sure you're entering it on a daily basis. And, but now, so he's been with us for like over 2 years. Oh man, you couldn't pry his spreadsheets away from him. Like he asked me the other day, can you add me another one? And I'm like, oh man, I need to take a picture of this. I need to get this on camera.
You molded him. Yeah, you taught him the way.
Because people are what they don't know, they're kind of scared of. Everybody's scared of new in a sense, and like that can be intimidating. But when you break it down daily, when you bring it back to a daily finite, just a couple of numbers that are real simple. How much did you produce today? How much did you collect today? How much did you schedule today? How many people did you talk to? Like these numbers are driving factors of how the business is going. That tells us how good is our marketing, how good is our pricing, how good is our efficiency. Like we can look at those numbers and tell us that. So, and that's like entry level technology spreadsheets, right? You could do it. You don't even need technology. You could do it by hand, but technology is going to make it that much faster. And then you think about CRMs, and I still own a CRM company, but communication, automating some of these things that you should be doing daily, but you don't think about till there's no business in the door. You're like, man, I should probably call my last 20 customers that got an estimate,
Yeah.
Or let me call Bob up. He hadn't been here in 6 months and see if he wants a detail. Like those are things that we can let technology help us with and keep the business turning. You don't take the human element out of it. You just use the tools that are available to you
to support you and do better. Yeah, that's the biggest thing is don't dehumanize. Like we still need this interaction between us, and that's what makes us more loyal and we grow with somebody. But taking AI to maximize your return and your exposure and what you can do for people, I think that's the biggest takeaway is trying to get people to understand.
Yeah, I want to mention something real quick. You mentioned you can't remove the human element out of it. So I used to travel. I traveled the United States, giving a presentation called the $1 Million Detail Shop, right? And I used to go around and I'd tell detailers how to become $1 million detail shop, how to take it from a carport, to an operation that would be, a big operation, right? And it was automate everything. It was online booking, less is more, like everything had to be automation. Everything was a number. Okay. Well, about 1.5 years ago, I was watching our numbers and I noticed some small changes start to happen. And I was very aware to know that these were not good changes. Our retention numbers were dropping. There were some key indicators that was telling me there was a problem. So I did some really hard thinking about what was going on. And I realized that what I had built was a number-centric company, and what I needed was a human, like I'm sorry, I just drew a blank. A number-centric company into a people-centric company there. And so what I'd done was I went in, and all the effort that we had spent to push our customers to online booking and and these things that were outside of our channel, we brought those things back in house, and we wanted to focus on human interaction. And so I redid my presentation, and now it's called "What the $1 Million Detail Shop Got Wrong." Okay, and that's the name. And so because we learned, and I needed to pass that knowledge off to everybody. I felt like I had told this, and so but it was bringing the human element back. However, in saying that, we're not out here polishing cars by hand. We still use tools. Okay, we still use a buffer, a polisher.
It's still a business of labor.
Yes, and so we would still use our CRM. We still use our booking software. We still use AI, but we have a human element to it, and we focus on our customer journey. When our customer gets here, it's eyeball to eyeball, and we have the saying called "Know their name, know their pain," and it's understand who you're. And this is real simple because with me, I'm not as sociable as you think I might be. So I can speak in crowds, I can talk business to anybody in the world, but when it comes to just BS conversation, I'm the worst guy in the world. I'm awful. Rob, my sales manager, talk to a wall. Yeah. Me, I'm like, okay, there's got to be something for me to do. What do I need to do? So I thought, how can I make this easy for my people, my team? And so I thought of know their name, know their pain. Because if we know a customer's name and we know their pain, which is why they're here in the first place, we can speak to that. Okay. And that connects us to them, and that gives us something to talk about. And we can stay in that topic because they love to talk about themselves anyway. And we can stay on that topic, why they're here, what they did wrong, what happened, and all that. And that gives you that conversational piece that connects you with the customer. So
I agree. So with all this, can you share a standout success story? Is there something that was like a pivotal moment in business, or a moment in where your systems truly paid off, or it really made like a substantial customer experience that opened up to more opportunities?
There's I don't know that there's a singular item. I mean, we're always refining. I think one thing about our teams, we have staff meetings for every company once a week on Mondays, and we're always saying like, what went great last week, but then what can we do better this week? And so like these single defining moments, I can think of a couple. One here recently. This is EZN Detail. That's the name of my detailing operation. When we moved from the half-acre lot, which was on the road, we moved to 6.5 acres, and our shop was in the very back of the property.
Okay.
We didn't even have a sign at the road that says detail. Every bit of our business came from marketing and then of course referrals and things like that. Penny of it came through that.
That's impressive, especially when road appeal is everything.
Okay. All right. In that same property, I built a multi-million-dollar retail store without a window or a glass front door and without a sign at the building. But let me tell you, wait, there's more. I bought the 4.5 acres that I'm sitting on right now.
Okay.
Last year, I moved my shop here about 4 months ago into these buildings. There's a huge set of buildings that we're in now.
Okay.
And it's on the road. I cannot believe how much business we were missing by not being at the road.
Yeah.
We thought we were something special back there. And we are seeing growth again. We see 49% growth in November. And I'm like, we haven't seen any of that. We haven't seen those kind of numbers in years. That kind of month over month.
Especially it's been a declining market as of late. So that's huge.
So, and I know that's not most people are already at the road. Most people probably have the right signage. But if you're in that situation, let me tell you something. I did not see the value. I thought, well, I was doing good. Why do I need to be up front? So that I don't know if that was the single defining moment, but that's one of the recent, I can think of a few as you're building. This is probably something good for the viewing audience. As you're building your business, you're going to think there are people on your team that you couldn't live without. Okay.
Yes.
And it feels that way. And there are some. However, what you will learn over time is people come and go. And you're going to think your world's going to end when that person leaves. But I'm telling you, every time someone leaves, I don't know how, why, or what, but there's always someone to fill in. And then those teams, and it always gets a little bit better. You always uncover things that you could have done differently. You always uncover things they could have done differently. And you start, and that's how business evolves. I used to stress. I used to, break my back to keep people here, and just the things you do, you're just always worried that somebody was going to leave. Always worried that this key player in this thing is going to leave. And what I've witnessed, and look, we value our team. We're team members, we're all shoulder to shoulder here. But what I do know is that we've survived up to this point by, anybody that's ever left, we still going. And
Yeah,
so
yeah, yeah.
so just know that as you progress and grow, take care of your team, but you'll survive. Don't put all, don't feel like you have to put all your eggs in one basket.
Yeah, there's definitely a balance you have to find between emotional and professional integrity and balance of people and attachment, because you do get attached and it becomes like
Yeah.
a well-oiled machine.
Oh, you
And
do.
it feels like when one squeaky wheel takes off and you feel like, the whole world's going to come down.
That's the truth. Yeah.
Yes.
And I
So,
value the attachment. Go ahead.
no, no, go ahead, please. I want to hear more on that because I was going to kind of go in right
Yeah,
off that.
I value the attachment. Like I'm not the typical business owner. Like I don't, like I'm right here with them. And I do, and probably a little too much, but that's I love our team. I love to connect. We love to do things out of work, we love to plan big events that we all go do. But I think it just needs to be said because we all get hung up on that. You feel like you got to have them, and you do, but you know what? You'll survive too.
No, I agree. And I think it's also a good reality check also for employees of thinking they don't have the owners by the balls, if you would, because sometimes you're like, oh, well, you'll fail without me. And you're like, and they really create that sense of urgency
Hmm.
and where you pour too much investment into one when they're willing to do that to you. And
That's
so
right.
it opens up an opportunity for someone else. So this actually goes right into my next question is because anyone who builds something the size like you have, you obviously have battle scars. Well, let's get into the part that most leaders don't talk about. Like what are some of your battle scars? What were some of the biggest challenges that you've dealt with scaling EZN? Money.
Money.
Necessary evil.
Sum it up to one word, like literally. I had the comment, or I had the conversation with my fiance the other day. I said, you know what, it's not the work's not the hard part, it's the
Yep,
money.
absolutely.
The work, I can work endlessly. I can do it. Nothing scares me. Like we'll do anything. I can do anything in this world. Money. And we all have times where you are on top and you are on bottom, And let me tell you, when you at bottom, you never think you're gonna see top again. And
Yep,
when you're on top, all you don't want to see is bottom again.
absolutely. And every time you check it, you're like, oh no, no, no.
So, battle scars are all financial related. I think, business detailing is seasonal. Holding on to those dollars. Everybody's rich in springtime. Detailing is easy. We all got great marketing. We're all great salesmen. We're all great detailers in springtime. Right now, November, December, January, our market comes back a little bit faster down here in Mobile because we don't get cold that much.
Stay warmer.
Yeah, December, January is a little slow. February, March, people are bringing their boats back out. So
Yeah.
and so, but yeah, so the battle scars, I think that you could probably sum them up to understanding cash flow. And so we built in a piece, cash management for every company I have. Once a week, we run cash management and it forecasts our recurring expenses and our accounts payable and then our expected income over 13 weeks. And so you see your cash out into the
Very.
future.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it helps understand when the slow time's coming and the impact that's going to have on your cash. And so I think that some of the battle scars always happen when I wasn't informed about the money. And
Okay.
then you wake up in November and December and you don't have enough, money in the checking account to pay the payroll
Yeah. Not a good feeling.
or power bill or whatever. Yeah, so those are battle scars, and so the things you put in place, you understand if you're managing by your checking account, it's a kiss of death. It's reactionary, it's emotional, it's going to ride like a roller coaster, and that's why people feel so stressed and anxious about cash. If you're looking at your checking account, it is deceiving. You need to look at your forecasted cash, and because that's going to consider your payroll on the slow times. That's going to consider if you're paying rent or power, or your insurance, your cost of goods, your detailing supplies, products, whatever. It's going to forecast that out for you. And it's easy to do. This stuff isn't complex. It seems complex, but it's not. And there's really good tools out there that'll help you. But yeah, so battle scars are usually associated with.
And would you say that would be the same as when you added new divisions? That was the strain, was the money as you're building these new divisions and expanding your business as well?
Every single time. I don't know of one that was easy. Like I thought, like I don't. Yeah, yes, it's tough because you take
It is.
dollars that were predetermined to go somewhere else, and now you're going to slide them over here for as to invest in. And my nature is to keep investing in. And I'm going to say me, but I don't really mean me. It's our
Into your
things,
business.
what we have into us, And so, like, I take every dollar and I just keep pushing it and keep pushing it back in because I say, well, we want to do this, we want to do that, we want to grow, and then then that crunch happens. So, I am a very much if I am point and shoot kind of thing. So if I have an idea, I'm going. We'll figure it out when we get there.
Whether you like it or not, we'll figure it out when we get there.
And the finance team hates me. But yeah, so yeah, with every change. So thinking about PPF, I don't know how much this conversation should be about PPF and intent, but this is something that's new to our detailing in the business, right?
Okay.
So alongside of watching these numbers kind of decline a little bit, and a year and a half ago, I also was thinking that it was probably time to consider PPF intent. We had been asked about it a lot. And so we went down the rabbit hole of PPF intent. We were going to do it years ago, kind of got scared away, do the investment. It was going to plotter and training and all the wasted product, the horror stories of PPF. And
There's
so we
a
didn't
lot
do it.
that goes into it.
There is a lot. There is a lot. And we're going down that path now. And then Mike and I, my partner, just bought A Peaks Tent and Film. So we're distributors in the US. We're the sole distributors of that. But what we've done is tried to smooth that out a little bit and said, like, detailers to add this service on, doing things like an essentials package where it's door cups and pillars and door edges and things like that, making it easier where you're not trying to bite off the whole thing at one time. And so, but even then, like, here I am telling this story and wrote a book with Mike on it. We're having the pains of pulling the hood off yesterday, because it lifted up, and I'm like, just pull it and just redo it. And I'm like, God, here we are.
It comes with some risk, that's for certain.
It does. But you know what?
Too.
But it's helping us grow, and it's as we go into as you're in uncertain markets and economies and stuff, when you get a customer there, you better kind of squeeze the sponge. You want to get and I don't mean this in any kind of way, don't want to get every dollar you can out of them, but you want to get all the opportunity that's there. Right. And
suit all the needs that could be desired and suited. That's the biggest thing is finding out the needs that they don't even know.
That's exactly right. And so by adding that service on, we're able to keep that customer here a little bit longer. And we're paying, when you think about acquisition costs and how much it costs to get a customer in the door, every dollar that we can get out of it just helps drive that down a little bit. And so I think that it's important.
Yeah, I agree with that one big time. So now I have to ask, how do you personally balance burnout risk?
Who said I did?
Yeah, or maybe you don't. Is it something we can work on?
And look, I was asked by a good friend of mine to speak at an event called the Conclave of Coatings in Nashville last year.
Okay.
Very, very Thiel. And he asked me to speak on the topic work-life balance. And so I said, Barry, the only way I can speak on that is if I stand up in the room and say, you better do the opposite of me, because I cannot speak on. But in saying that, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to make it full circle for you. First of all, so burnout is real. Burnout's happening, and it has to be managed. Operate off of a calendar that is very strict. That's how I keep from overdoing it. I have restrictor plates, kind of like they have in what, NASCAR, where they have like a restrictor plate. I have a restrictor plate, and it's my calendar.
Yeah, they have a
governor. Yeah, something like that. And it keeps you from overworking, right? Okay, but the thing with work-life balance is I don't treat my work and my life as two separate things. I think that when you separate your work and your life, so family and business and all that stuff, separation causes resentment. And if I were to go home and I say, oh, I don't want to do this and I'm tired and you'll never understand. And, well, now my daughter or my fiance now starts to resent this place I'm at. They don't get it. They don't understand. And I can't talk to them about it. And now there's separation.
Yeah.
So for me, we don't have this, I go home and I don't talk about work, or I go home and I don't answer a phone call. I want my daughter to see what it takes. I want my daughter to come to work with me and experience what real world business ownership looks like. Because it sounds real good on a podcast or on a minute clip where I'm talking about you should do this and you should do that. That sounds real good until the wheels come off, and I want them to see it. And so Chelsea, my fiance, she works here. She's the operations manager, back office operations manager. Awesome. And my dad works with us.
Love it.
My daughter is here very regularly, and she's 6, but she thinks she runs the place.
Hey, start them young.
And so work-life balance for me, we have, we try to manage it through calendar and like, hey, we're not going to, do this. And, we're going to have some segmented time. However, like work life balance doesn't exist. And with me, and I'm not saying that's for everybody either. I said that's how I feel. And burnout is managed through calendar, and I try to stick to it. I allow for my workout time in the mornings. That's my time. So I run or bike or swim. That's my headspace time. I'm not
Yeah.
managing the phones right then. I'm not working through that. My work day is kind of definitive on my calendar. Vanessa, I've got to give a huge shout out to my assistant. She is phenomenal. She handles it. Yeah.
She means business. This is fantastic. You have some really strong pillars in place, and I definitely give you props for that.
Well, thank you, and I hope it was a pleasant experience dealing with her. I mean, Vanessa's awesome, and she
Yeah.
and she does. She keeps me straight, you know. So burnout, like I said, I don't want to downplay that because I'm not. I don't think what I do is right for everyone. Even within my own team, I don't expect them to do as I do. But I do think I think I'm built a little different. But if you look at our team, I mean, we got hard workers.
Yeah. No, it comes from a good place. You can tell where it starts. So it's huge.
Thank you.
You're welcome. No, I love that. And I love that your partner is also involved in your business. I'm the same way. We're very involved in everything. Our career is our passion, our love. So there is no work in our personal life. We just share it and celebrate together. We win together, we lose together.
I
And
love
we
that.
just get through it and we're stronger together. When we live different lives in different worlds, it started creating that gap. And then we're like, wait a minute, we can do this. Let's take our strengths and empower each other and jump in. And that's what we've been doing.
I love that. I absolutely love that because I do believe that, and I think that separation does cause resentment, and we're preached to work life out. You're supposed to do this certain way, and it doesn't really fit in the box, you know.
No, it doesn't. But you always hear it's on an amplifier. They're always telling us and how we should be instead of really
Yeah,
realizing the big picture and how it should not be. So
that's exactly right.
for sure. So with where are we going in the next 3 to 5 years? We have some more expansion opportunities, more growth. You're bringing the family all in. What's on the billet? What are we working on for the next year or two?
Oh man, yeah. So I'd probably be lying if I didn't say more expansion. We're working on some other things.
Or
I'm probably
land?
gonna
Why
get
not?
I'm probably gonna get fired when I walk in the other building. I have made the comment lately that we want to kind of press pause and really work on process and refinement. I get bored with that pretty quick. Like I'm not gonna lie. Like 3 to 5 years, I may last 3 to 5 months on that end of things. Yeah, I mean, I'm always looking. I'm always wanting to grow. Here's the thing: is I have the responsibility. I think there's probably 70 or 80 employees now.
Okay.
I have the responsibility of creating a path for them where they can be as successful as they want. They can take care of their family, whatever success looks like to them, by the way. And I don't always
Yeah.
think that's attached to money. I think sometimes it's time off. Sometimes it's, one of the buyers for our retail stores, she's been with me for a while. And success to her looks like being able to work from home and she has horses and manage that alongside of work,
Yeah.
and so like giving her more money didn't solve problems. Giving her time solved problems. So I think success looks different. So my job is to always be looking for opportunities that help me pave that path. And I take it very personal, body's path. And I always ask them every year, I ask them to write down their goals. What do they want to do? And I take that personal. So as I'm looking, this isn't a Dustin Jackson show. This is an everyone show. And what can we do? If we're not growing, then you're kind of capped. If there's not more opportunity, then you are where you are. And if we're always doing new things and bigger things, and it just creates more opportunity. So,
Now,
no real.
I truly admire that. That's huge. And I love that you pinpointed, success is different for every single person and that resonates. And is that something that you do? Is it just annual or you do quarterly audits of your people and saying, hey, do you feel you're successful? What can we do more? How do you engage that in the business, on a quarterly basis?
So great. So it's not structured quarterly. So it's a structured annual. However, I
Okay.
am very in tune with our team. So we'll have one-on-ones very regular. Like if I have a moment where I'm traveling with one of them, or if I get a moment where we can just have a one-on-one time, we'll talk through that. Where are you at? How do you feel? What's going on? What are you struggling with? We have those conversations very regularly, and so I don't feel the need to put together like this process. I had them in the past where we did these
Yeah.
team employee reviews. So mine's kind of like evolving, kind of like a rotating inventory count. So I'm just kind of going
Yeah.
around and I enjoy it that way. Like I feel like it's more organic. You get the feel. You got a little bit of feelings involved though. Like they're having a rough day, you're gonna have to hear the rough part too.
Yeah, you gotta bring rawness. You gotta keep it raw too, because that's where it feels more personal.
Yeah. But yeah, and one thing, I read a book one time. I'm trying to think of the name of it. And I thought this was really cool. It was written by a female author, and she was a business owner, and I'm gonna butcher this here, so I'm not gonna attempt the name, but it's where she did lunch once a week. I don't know if you've read it. I'll find out the name and I'll send it to you.
Yeah, if I had the name and share with me for sure. Yeah.
It's an excellent book, but essentially the business owner. So she allowed her team. She would give them. She had one day a week where she went to lunch with someone in her team, and they picked it because like if I pick somewhere to eat, like everybody's gonna know me there. Like you're gonna walk in and it's like
Yeah.
this is so you let them pick and you let them dictate the conversation. You talk about whatever you want to talk about. Talk about your family. Talk about your friends. Talk about work. Talk about whatever where you want to go, your future. And I thought that was such a cool way. I'm trying to think of the name of it now. I thought that was such a cool way to engage with your team members on a one-on-one basis. And it was up to them to schedule it with you. So hey, you schedule it. We'll go wherever you want to go. And I think that it was a really cool way.
Oh, that's hilarious. No, I love that. I think that is huge. And so many could learn from that because I feel like as owner operators, we do get disconnected and from the everyday people that are doing the labor work for us and doing the deliverables for everyday consumers they're the ones who are keeping us alive. And
Mm-hmm.
I love that you stay connected. And I think most can learn from that because a lot of the operators, they're labor guys, they're labor ladies, they are front of line, doing the detail work, doing the nitty gritty. And they have employees, but they keep them at that arm's reach as an employee instead of engaging in them on more of, being a huge contribution to make the whole.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and I enjoy, like I said, when I started out, I'm a worker, so like I don't, I am trapped in my office a large portion of the day due to meetings and stuff. But the
Yeah.
moment I get out, man, I run out. I'm like, get me out in the shop. I walk through the shop. I was going over a camper. We're polishing out a big giant camper out here. And just was going over the process with them earlier, and these my team, we've had a strong, I mean, we got a strong detailing team, but just to be able to chat it up with them, like, what are you doing? Where are you at? Where, and that's fun to me.
No, it's you have to have fun. If you don't have fun, then it becomes work.
That's right.
I don't like working.
No, no. Yeah. If you love what you do, you never work a day in your life. Right.
Amen. I will second that one all day long. Your story is definitely a testament to grit, strategic thinking, the power of building systems, that work. It's incredible of how you've piecemealed everything. And I love that you've self-developed a lot of your own tools too. That's quite credible.
Mm-hmm.
And for the leaders listening, whether in detailing, marine, automotive, storage, or any services that you touch, what is a piece of leadership advice that you would like to give them about scaling and building a strong team?
I always think about this, like it's never going to be easy. And if you have a strong enough purpose, you get through the hard times, and the hard times don't last forever. That's I'd love to give you some profound thing, and there's Eric Thomas said it best when he said you got to want it as bad as you want to breathe.
It's
and
very
and
good.
and so there's this, like if you go get in water about this deep and then just kind of slightly dip your nose below just enough to get a breath, that's what owning business and running business feels like. And if you think it's going to be any different, then go get a job. It's just the way it is. And
That's
so
very well
my
said.
and I don't want to scare you away, but that's the reality of it. And anytime I talk to anybody about business, I say, look, you gotta want it. You gotta want it. And you gotta want it worse than you can't be doing it for the money. Like money will come and go. It will, and you can't become emotionally attached to it. You just gotta do it because that's what you want to do. And then everything else kind of happens around that. And you gotta want it worse than you want to breathe, because there's gonna be times where the fetal position feels like the only position.
Isn't it funny how we recluse back to the way we came in?
Right? There you go. Now it is full circle.
Right.
That's right.
It's an automatic response, muscle memory.
Yes, for sure. For sure.
Well, this is fantastic. I can't wait to learn more and do this again with you. And I'm so appreciative of you sharing your journey and your leadership wisdom. And for anyone who wants to learn about EZN and how to connect with you, can you please share how they can do that?
Oh yeah, so you can find me on Facebook. That's probably the platform I'm on the most. Just Dustin Jackson. All of our profiles: EZN Detail, EZN Outfitters, which is our retail store, EZN Storage, and then of course IGL Coatings that I'm wearing today. You can find us on social. You can go, Google us, and we're all there. But yeah, if you want to connect personally, just go to Facebook and follow me, and then drop me a message. I always make my meeting links available. Vanessa will get you scheduled in. I don't charge to talk to people. I literally just schedule 15 or 30-minute calls, and we can talk business. We can talk about anything you want. I just ask that you schedule it so you get some undivided attention from me.
Absolutely.
And
And
so
help Vanessa
yeah,
out by doing that.
yeah, absolutely.
She will appreciate you.
She will. And look, I'm super thankful to be on here. Love what you got going on. I'm interested to hear more about the AI side of things. So maybe we can schedule a call and chat about that. I love technology, and I think that it plays a huge portion or role in our business and our economy, and it's growing every day.
We are in the boom right now. It's like wildfire.
We are, and so maybe we can jump on a call. But yeah, thanks for having me on here. It's been a blast catching up. Hopefully, somebody watching gets something out of that. Learn from my pain. That's what I try to tell them. Like, it's not. I don't know a whole lot, but I know what doesn't work.
Wait, that's what they say. Always learn from the ones who suffer, so you know
That's
how to
right.
not suffer.
Exactly. Exactly.
Well, thank you so much for tuning in for Real Tech Talk, and we're excited to see where you go from here. And just know we'll be watching. So thank you so much, and see you next time.
Awesome. Thank you so much. See you later.